Baby BMWs. Welcome, guys. I just wanted to make a quick video of my BMW 128i. This car came out in 2009. It's a rear-wheel drive car, even though most of its owners thought it was a front-wheel drive vehicle. I think that this car speaks to what BMW is all about. Inline six, naturally aspirated, rear-wheel drive, manual transmission, lightweight, relatively speaking, and just a lot of fun. People, when this car came out, people disliked it. They thought it was the poor man's BMW. It was the entry level vehicle. But I think bang for the buck, it is fantastic. I don't think that you can have more fun with any BMW than this car on public roads. Sure, on a racetrack, I think the new M3 is fantastic. But if you're driving around town or you're going around the canyons or you're driving around, mountain roads, this car is awesome. It's lightweight, it's manual, it's rear-wheel drive, it's got a linear motor, and I just wanted to go over some of the things that I've done to the car. Pretty much this is an M Sport trim, so you get a cool rear bumper diffuser, you get the M Sport wheels, you get a modified side skirt. The front bumper on the car is changed as well. It looks a little bit like the E46 M3 front bumper, which I love, and there are no brake ducts on it or anything like that, but it just gives you kind of that bulldog look that BMWs are known for. The other modifications I did were I did glossy kidney grills. I like them on a white car. And I also did wheel studs. These are 90 millimeter wheel studs. I believe I picked these up from Bimmer World, and they just make swapping wheels in the wintertime or on the track much easier. You can see them stick out a little bit. Car looks like a chariot. When I'm at a red light, people are like, what's wrong with this guy? But I like them just because they make wheel changes much easier. I also did this BMW Performance rear lip. Not a lot of downforce, but it does give the car a nice look. Gives it that CSL E46 M3 look that I really like. And I debadged the car. I didn't do anything to the exhaust, and I didn't do the black lines, but I like the way that this car looks on the outside. It's a real looker. Moving on to what's underneath the hood of this vehicle. We have the N52 inline 6-cylinder motor. The only modifications that I did to this car was the AFE intake. It's just a carbon fiber top, and it has a drop-in air filter. Besides that, it's a very clean engine bay. I try to keep it as clean as possible. We're going to have the future modification would be the Stage 3 DISA intake. Now, a lot of people ask me why I went with this motor versus a 135, and the main reason is maintenance. As much as I love the 135 motor, I didn't want to have to deal with the maintenance that it requires, and that meaning there was an oil filter housing gasket leaking issue. The spark plugs needed to be changed a little bit more often when you tuned it. You would have to worry about the coil packs. You would have to deal with the injectors. And then also you had the high pressure fuel pump issue. So it just was a little bit more maintenance than I wanted to do. I do sometimes wish that I had that motor when I want to go fast on the highway. This car is not the quickest car. It does a good job on the highway, but it's not super fast by any means. It's a very, very nice motor. It's bulletproof. The power band is very linear, and there are no complaints in terms of power or having to maintain it. It's a reliable motor. It turns on every single time. No issues whatsoever. Now we get to see the interior of this beautiful vehicle. Starting with the M Sport kick plates. It's just a nice little touch. Then we will move to these awesome seats. I really do love BMW Sport seats. This is not specific to the M Sport. This is just a sport package seat. I chose this specific car purely because of the manual seats. There is no electronic adjustment on this car, and I really do like the thigh extensions. Very helpful on long drives, and I do like the side bolstering of this interior. Another nice thing that I did was I wrapped the interior trim with this carbon fiber vinyl that I picked off on Amazon of all places. It was $8 a roll. It was very simple to put on. Just make sure you have a hair dryer and it just sticks right on. I also changed out the center trim to the E82 1 Series M Coupe interior trim, so it's just a black plastic versus the Eyesore, which is the Glacier aluminum cube trim that came on the M Sport. It just makes the interior a little bit more subtle and nice. I also got rid of the armrest because of squeaks, and I liked the idea of shifting aggressively without having to constantly flip up the armrest. This is the Kobe steering wheel, and they do a fantastic job. It's a thicker steering wheel. It's the M Sport steering wheel, but it's covered in Alcantara. It has a yellow 12 o'clock marker, and it has white Alcantara, a white stitch on the Alcantara. It's thicker, it's easier to drive with, and that's what I love about BMW. Nice chunky steering wheels, and they're awesome to hold in your hand, especially when you're driving aggressively with racing gloves when you're on the track. Moving on to the pedals, I apologize for the dirt on the mats, but these are from a company called Ultimate Pedals, and if you can see, there's about a 3/4 of an inch extension on the throttle pedal. This makes heel towing so much easier, just because I have large feet. You don't need to use the heel of your foot. You can just roll your foot over. And then I move to the shifter. I purchased this from European Auto Source. I used to have this thing called a Jafster shift knob. This is just a nice shifter. It's elongated, which makes it much easier to move your hand from the steering wheel over to the shifter. And I like the exposed metal part on the shifter. And once again, we have the black headliner on this car. But I do like the interior. It's a very pleasant place to be. I like the all blacked out nature of it. And I like the simple analog experience, and I think that's will not age. That's the biggest thing. Besides the modifications that I've done and shown you so far, when I got this car, I wanted to make this vehicle the ultimate handling car. So I needed to change out the rear subframe bushings on this car to the M specific one. I'm getting ahead of myself. Pretty much on all E82 vehicles, even E90, E92 vehicles that are not M cars, so not an M3 or not a 1 Series M, the control arms, the subframe bushings, the upper and rear toe links on this vehicle, they are swappable, meaning that you could buy those parts and you can put them on this car. So I took this car to Auto Couture Motoring. Sal, Tommy, Alex, and Lalit are great guys, awesome guys. I would recommend that shop to anyone in the New Jersey area, anyone on the East Coast really. And they pretty much put all of the M components on this vehicle, which made the car very composed through corners. What was happening on the track is that, in combination with the Michelin Pilot Super Sports, I was overworking the shock and spring. The shock and spring on this vehicle, considering it is an entry-level BMW, they use cheap parts. There's no nice way of saying that. They do not use good shocks. They do not use good springs, even if you get an M Sport version. So I purchased the B12 suspension kit. This is comprised of a Bilstein shock and an Eibach spring. I purchased this from Turner Performance. These guys are race car drivers. Bilstein is a great company. Eibach is a phenomenal spring. I purchased those shocks and springs. After doing that, the car transformed. Handling through corners at low speed was fine with the just the initial bushings, but through high speeds, corners, um, the car was transformed, and it changed the car completely. Other than that, I changed the brake rotors, put more aggressive pads, used Motul 600 brake fluid, and stainless steel lines. Brake fluid is very important. A lot of the standard off-the-shelf brake fluid, like ATE Super Blue and Gold, is good. There are two boiling points. There's a dry boiling point, which is the initial boiling point of the fluid, and there's a wet boiling point, which is each subsequent boiling point. So you want a high wet boiling point, because it doesn't matter if you have the highest dry boiling point and your subsequent wet boiling points get lower and lower, because when you're driving on a track or you're driving aggressively, every single time that the fluid gets hot, it's getting lower and lower, meaning that less fun time, guys. So the Motul 600 I found was a pretty good brake fluid. Castrol SRF is the best, but I just didn't want to spend $90 on brake fluid on this car, so I stuck with the Motul 600. Overall, really happy with this car. I love the way that it sits with the B12 kit. I love the way it handles. The shifting is great. No complaints whatsoever on this car. The only things that I would want to maybe change on this car is get a little bit more of an aggressive seat. The Recaro Sportster SC is a fantastic seat. I just do not want to lose the heating element. I love the fact on a cold day you just turn on the heated seats and you get a warm butt. That's one thing that I despised about the Fiat, that I didn't have it. I also like these seats. I think they're comfortable and they look good. I just want to keep the car as OEM as possible. I think this car is a future classic, more so than the 135. I love the 135. I like that it makes a lot of power. For me, I just wanted a more linear experience, so I wanted a naturally aspirated motor. I also wanted something that didn't have any gadgets on the inside of the car. iDrive quickly gets outdated, so I really didn't want to deal with having old technology in the car. I like that when you sit in the car, it could pass as a modern day vehicle. It doesn't have all of the nice LCD screens that new cars have, but it gets the job done. It's purely for driving. I want to shave a couple more pounds off the car, so obviously the seats would be nice. I would like to put a carbon fiber roof on the car. I know that IND used to sell a carbon fiber roof. I don't know if they still have it. That would be nice. If not, I could just put the 1 Series M Coupe roof on it. Those are certain things that I want to do. Just in conclusion, for those of you that were curious about the 128i, awesome car. This is coming from a track instructor and a track junkie. I think it's really cool that it's a rare car. There are a lot more 135s out there than there are 128s, or at least there will be more 135s that you'll see because they're tuned and they're loud. 128i kind of goes under the radar, and I like that it's a spiritual successor to the 2002. Other than that, if you're on the fence between both cars, I think if you're looking for a driving experience, the 128i gives it to you. I don't think that you need 300 horsepower. I think 250 to 300 horsepower when tuned is good. Anything over that is just house money. I like the fact that this potentially will be a future classic. It's the perfect formula. Front engine, rear wheel drive, manual transmission, as little gadgets as possible. But other than that, I just want to thank you guys for your time. I know 15 minutes is a long time, but enjoy driving. That's all I'll say. To quote Magnus Walker, get out and drive. I think this car gives you a great experience. There's a lot of cars out there that can give you equal experiences or better experiences, but if you have a budget that works with the 1 Series, I think this is a great car. And it's not like the 4-cylinder turbos that are out there now. This is a small car. It looks good. It handles fantastic, and you can make it better and better. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy. I will post more videos of driving, what the intake sounds like, and going around corners. Take care, guys.